Hello and welcome to the Ginger Joe Racing Show. I am your new host, Mr. Jaime Wrenn. You have often seen me before on Cheltenham. This is my new home now. Bear with me. This is my first time hosting. And first and foremost, we like to say to my new partner in crime, hello to Mr. Scott Rotherham, aka Shrimpy Frenchman, and aka the bad boy of Bulls. How are you doing, Scotty, my man?
Yeah, good, Jay. Looking forward to the season. It feels weird not having Ginge here, but probably a good thing for all the viewers. We've got some good material to look at. So yeah, gonna be good, mate.
Exactly. Thanks, Scotty. I suppose first and foremost, we do a bit of housekeeping. We're proudly sponsored, obviously, by betting.co.uk. Can you please, if you can, lads, just to subscribe to us? It obviously gives us a bit of a help. It's completely free to do it. We'll be giving giveaways throughout the season when we have Joe on. And click the bell so you get a notification on YouTube and through your email that we'll see us now. Tonight's record is recorded. We might be going live throughout the season. I suppose we'll be doing weekend previews with Joe for the main events, say in Ireland, maybe like the showcase next week, the November meeting, Navan, Punchestown, Christmas, and all that. The other plan is for me and Scotty to do like we're not copying, I suppose, up in the ante, is that we're going to have like a 10 horse anti-post series for Cheltenham. We might have a transfer window maybe at Christmas to get rid of one of the three, four, five selections we have, and maybe another five then and have a transfer window just before the Cheltenham Festival. So we look forward to that. Anything else to add to that, Scotty? We think anything more?
Yeah, I think like we said, we were agreeing we were gonna have a head-to-head, and I think the winner of it will probably um, we're gonna whatever happens, we're gonna donate some money to a charity of our choice. So we'll keep you posted throughout the season, won't we, on that? So
Now, moving on, we'll try to keep this short and sweet, not bore you for about 45 minutes and an hour. I suppose we'll go through topics that we have written down here in our own head. We'll try to get it the next time on the bottom of the screen. We're going to go through, I suppose, at the start of every episode, a quick run through the big major talking points of the last week and maybe have an opinion on what's going on in racing and how people are tipping and all that. So the first, obviously, we're going to talk about is, to me, I leave it to Scotty first, but we are a bit agreed with this. Obviously, people say we're only might be only pocket talking, but it's very frustrating for the punter because we both back Manxman into Cesarovic. Scotty, what do you think? An absolute farce, a mess. VHNEA, VHA, sorry, need to pull up their socks and change it.
I think it's a tough one. There's two sides to the coin I've been thinking about this week. Obviously, backing Manxman was a bit of blow, knowing after the race that the horse was going to be disqualified. I think it was four hits over the whip use. Um, but in a 24 runner handicap race, you've got to realise how many people actually watching the race realised he was four hits over the whip limit. It was probably impossible for anyone with not the knowledge who's ridden a horse to have spotted. I had no idea. I obviously knew at the line that I was beat. I'm normally right on the photo finishes, so it is what it is. You've got to accept when you lose. But I think the 28-day ban, I think he's got the jockey for that is okay. It is what it is. It's in the rules. But there comes a point where when the results called, you have to realise the online betting industry, the likes of Hills, Bet365, Corals, whatever the big bookmaker is, they could use their discretion. It was going to be announced on Tuesday that the horse was going to be disqualified. Now, what do they do? Do they pay out punters who back Manx Man and everything else that jumps up a place for the each way angles? They could do. But on the other side of the coin, do they take the winnings away from people who have already been paid out for the winner? That's going to be disqualified. Again, that's a subject that could be debated for hours and hours. But I think the whole thing that people don't realize is you could have riots actually on courses. If it came to the bookmakers who were there in the stands, had taken a lot of money. When the result was announced, they paid out on Alphonse Legrand, the winner, at 33 to 1. People have got their money. They can't all of a sudden say, come back and pay us your money back. And on the flip side, people are throwing tickets on the floor, whether they're in their pocket, and then they hear this is going to happen. You could have a massive rush coming back in, arguing with bookmakers. It could cause riots. So I never like to defend the bookmakers, but on that kind of thing, I think common sense has to prevail. But It doesn't soften the blow for people who've had any amount of bet on Manxman or anything that finished out of the frame and gets promoted to place. It's just tough luck. Sometimes you just have to take it on the chin. I'm not that overly fussed about it. What can be done in the future? I don't really know the answer to that right now. It just leaves a bit of a bitter taste in the mouth for those who have backed it. But I think they did the right thing at the right time. But there should be something that's brought into place where they can make a decision quicker, like they do with stewards' inquiries. For me, any flat race, a jumps race for me traditionally, that's run over 2 miles or 2 miles two, like the Cesarevic has run just slightly over 2 miles. It takes 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes to 4 minutes for the race on really a real testing ground, 4 minutes max. How long does it take to review the race and see how many hits are made? They should call, look at an inquiry if they're unsure, and then maybe announce the result. That's the only thing I could think of they could do to improve.
Yeah, for me, it's supposed it's bitter. I actually backed it to win anti-post at 33-1, and I backed it each way on the day at 8-1. I suppose it's not good enough, in my opinion. How can the steward see that he went over? They're obviously not doing their job. Why can't they do it in France, where they throw out the winner if he's gone over a certain amount of strikes or he's gone off course? They just get rid of him and they call the next horse the winner. It only takes a couple of minutes. I can't understand it. But look, it'll go on, the debate will go on for a long time, and I suppose you just have to get on with it, and you're not going to win moaning about it, are you? The other one, the next one topic we were talking about during the week, Scotty, was if you're like listening to us or listen to other tipsters or anything like that, and look, there's great vast majority of good tipsters around on YouTube. A lot of people now are going down the stats and trends angle, really, to see if you can find the winner. What's your opinion on that?
I used to kind of believe that stats and trends was something worth looking at, especially in the bigger meetings. Comes to things like the Grand National stats and trends now. For me, go out the window. I think the classier horses are winning the bigger handicaps. I think a lot of the horses, the ratings are a lot more compressed now. So the better horses do tend to win races, which kind of throws out the stats and trends. I also think anti-post now is so influenced by social media. Someone could put a post up about a horse, whether it's from a trainer or someone associated to the yard, and it automatically takes 2 or 3 points off the anti-post price. I think because people nowadays they listen to a lot of the social media, the tipsters, it's very influential, and you um, you don't necessarily get horses who fit the trends that win like they used to 5 to 10 years ago. Prices, a lot of favourites do win at the bigger meetings because people have cottoned on that they're the best horses. They've probably got in the weights the best. They're the best class horses in the races. So for me, stats and trends don't really matter as much as they used to. There was a stat that I put out for the festival just gone. I think it was something like 11 horses have won grade ones in like the Stayers Hurdle, the Gold Cup, the Champion Hurdle, the Champion Chase. 11 horses had won on their second attempt that had never won it the year before out of something like 90 horses. And Tiapu was one that broke the trend this year. But I think it's starting to become less kind of relevant nowadays. I think, like I said, social media influence has got a lot to do with it. And I think a lot of the favourites are winning the bigger races and people just cotton onto it quicker and trends do go out the window, I think now. So I don't really pay much attention to it as much as I used to.
Yeah, I'm like you, Scotty. To be honest, look, each to their own. If people want to go down that route, I suppose maybe in like stats and trends in draw bias in big 5 furlong 30 runner handicaps, I understand that part. But to me, I've never really been a fan of them. That's just me. I'm not dishing anybody or anything like that. It never really was a way where I pick a horse, stats or trends. That's just me. But if it's for you, I wouldn't put you off. I'll put it that way,
If
Joe.
it falls into one that I will look at, obviously everybody does if you're a knowledgeable punter. It's not necessarily a stat, but it could be a trend. Is trainer form. Horses are running for trainers. Like we all knew Nicky Henderson's horses weren't right leading up to March, February last year into February. You wouldn't back a yard that's out of form, or I wouldn't anyway. So probably that's the only thing I would look at is trainer form. And if there's something going with a bug in the yard, it's not always something that people realise, but it's that's the only thing I'd really consider.
And the last one we said between the two of us, sorry, is festival changes. A quick is with the new festival changes, are they good or are they bad?
For me, I said a couple of months ago, the changes I thought would happen would be they bring back the novices handicap chase. Brilliant move, absolutely fantastic move. I love the Turners race, but I think it was the right move to kick it out.
Mhm.
Um, you've got a chance now getting horses not necessarily plotted because again when it comes to I think it's 0 to 145 in that handicap chase route, the 2.5 miler, you've had class horses that have gone on to win the Gold Cup like Ep1. They still run really good in those races, win the race, go on to progress. Um, the other change that I thought the National Hunt Chase was going to change at some point, but I didn't expect it to be so soon. I think making it a handicap's a little bit. I don't really know, but for me, I think what they've done is they've kind of punished the National Hunt Chase. They've taken away the Turners to make the Arkle and the Browns more competitive. And for me, it's brilliant to have those two races more competitive. But I think the National Hunt Chase, the history that race has got, I think is a bit harsh on the race itself. But yeah, again, taking away the mare's allowances or the penalty, sorry, for the mares and the mare's novice, I think is a good move. I think horses like Dicer Enos last year, who would have been penalised if she would have turned up in the race. I know she had a setback. To have her having a penalty against the likes of Jade de Grugy, Brighter Days Ahead, Golden Ace would have been an absolute farce. So I think that's a good move. So in general, I'm all for the changes, but I think the National Hunt Chase has been the one that's suffered the most, to be honest.
Fair enough, Scotty. To me, I don't understand why you have. I suppose it is. I always thought the turners have to go, in a way. But now you have a 2.5 mile novice handicap chase over 2.5 miles. You have a Ryanair, which is the grade one over 2.5 miles. You have a grade two limited handicap chase over 2.5 miles, and you have a plate over 2.5 miles. So I'm like, where are they getting all the 2.5 mile horses? That was one thing that I thought that was a bit strange. There's like four now chases over at 2.5 miles. Now I know one's a novice, one's a grade one, and another one is a plate for probably. I'd say now the plate will probably become like a veteran's 2.5 mile handicap because now the
Yeah.
fancier horses are going to go into the grade two limited handicap over the same
Hmm.
trip. Will the field size suffer regardless anyway? I think they will. But it's actually making it a bit harder, to me. But look, that's what people want, a bit of competitiveness. You're not going to win with plonking grade ones, I think, more grade ones anymore. The horse population is just not there. There's only a couple of trainers who are now starting to really, really dominate Cheltenham. So, like, to me, it's a good move. Another move, it's just, to me, it's a bit too much 2.5 mile chases. That's just me.
The thing as well with the 2.5 mile chase campaign in the UK is it's quite contradictive that they've had, like you said, all those races at the festival. There's not enough open races for 2.5 mile chases in the UK
Yeah.
at grade one level. You've got, or even grade two level, you've got the one at Ascot, which is run in November, the Amlin 65 chase, it used to be called. Um, and I
And the
think
one
you've got
after
one.
Christmas Ascot as well. Remember the one Shishkin one, isn't it?
Yeah, the grade one in really late February. You've
Yeah.
got handicaps like the Old Roan Chase and the Peterborough Chase, which are run over 2.5, but it doesn't give the top 2.5 mile horses the opportunities to run in open company. The likes of Ginny's Destiny, who's going to run in the Paddy Power Gold Cup stage star last year. It's handicaps. There's not many open grade one opportunities for the top 2.5 mile chases in the UK.
Very good. I suppose moving on, we will go to the next point is I suppose the weekend isn't great when it comes to it's competitive wise, but obviously we are supposed to be a jump show, but we are going to maybe pick one or two out for the Champions Day of the weekend at Ascot. I had a look at the other meetings. There's a good meeting, obviously, this weekend here over here in Ireland, Limerick is the 2 day Munster National meeting. I haven't really picked anything out of that, but we said we'd go through Champions Day in a couple of minutes. Scotty, I'll go to you straight away. Do you have anything that you fancy for Champions Day?
Again, I looked and away from the obvious, I mean, Kyprios is what, 8 to 11, 4 to 5, he got declared today. I mean, I think the horse he's beaten before. I mean, won his last six. He's got most of the form covered in the book. He's going to be one for the multiples along with like Charin, Economics, those kind of horses. But the only one I'd back would probably be in the fillies and mares at 8 to 1, and that's Tiffany. I think she's a good little progressive horse. Very solid profile. Baden, she won last time. She's pretty impressive. I think she goes on any ground, so she'd be probably the only one I'd probably get tempted on the day to have an each way bet. I think eights is a fair price, and I think it's a winnable race. But apart from the obvious favourites, which one of them will probably get beat, I wouldn't be getting stuck into anything massively. But yeah, Tiffany would be probably my bet of the day on Champions Day.
Yeah, I was actually saying, yeah, that's a great show, Scotty. To be honest, I definitely would actually fancy that horse because of Calpana, I'd be definitely worried about the favourite Calpana on soft ground. Winning all these races. No, one the September Stakes was a Kempton the last day. They said it was standard to slow. Maybe she might go on the slower ground here. I'm a little bit worried about her. But I'm the same as you. I looked at it and there was Kyprios and there was Charon. Now there is Tamfana in the QE2 against Charon who won the Sun Chariot, but it only beat Inspire. I thought the last day. I thought it was much of a muchness grade one. Charon, I think, we read way differently. And if it's is it the straight mile? Hopefully, is it a straight mile or the bend mile? If it's a straight mile, I think Charon will win it. It's just so obvious at the moment. And the other race, I suppose, is the Champion Stakes with Economics Caland again. Economics took an age, I thought, to get going in the Irish Champion Stakes, but Gerardino, whatever his name is, that horse that he beat in France previously at Deauville, I think, wasn't it? Off the top of my head. I think because of how Flanagan was maybe stopped on a run, maybe in the Juddmonte and is won at Ascot, I will slightly go with Flanagan to beat Economics.
Yeah, I think like you say, I mean, beating August Rodin not too far. I think August Rodin was a good horse, obviously last year as a 3-year-old. It's very tough to kind of say there's not a horse better than him out there. And I think Leopardstown, it is quite. It's obviously not the easiest track in the world sometimes if you're caught behind, but I think, like you say, got going a bit late. I just whether going right-handed at Ascot's going to play into his strengths, but it's up in the air. I'm not too sure on that race, to be honest. So
Yeah. We'll move on because we don't have much this weekend, bar tipping. I suppose the next episode we will be previewing, obviously, the return of Cheltenham. Next, maybe Wednesday or Thursday, will be on your screen with Joe will be back with us and he can host. Thank God. But going forward, obviously, the next episode, me and Scotty's going to have a go at presenting and we'll see how we go. The next, I suppose, topic we had, Scotty, is Cheltenham Targets. Now, we didn't really go through this. Maybe what we might do is, if it's up to you, if you have anything in your head for horses that are Cheltenham targeted.
yeah, I mean, away from the obvious players going back to repeat their grade ones, etc. The novice hurdlers are still pretty hard to work out. I've backed a couple already. I'll probably tell you what I've backed already. I backed William Money, anti-post for the Supreme at 25-1. Good bumper horse of Barry Connell last year. I think a bit of better ground will definitely suit him this year. I've covered Romeo Coupe in the Supreme. I think the vibes are very good with him this year. Second in the Champion Bumper. He was due to run a couple of weeks ago or last week, and he didn't run. But I think Down Royal is going to be his starting point in the Champion Chase weekend up there. Slade Steel for the Arkle. Will he go up to the Browns 3 miles? I don't think so. I think possible 2.5 would have been a step up, but I think the Arkle is probably going to be his race. Madgeborough back for the Browns already. I think he'll be a lovely big 3 mile chaser in time, whether it's this year or not. But I've taken a chance on him at a big price. But there's one that I've really, really fancied as a bit of a sleeper. We've kind of forgotten about him this year, and he's been injured. And I don't really like backing injured horses, but I don't think it was the biggest setback in the world. And traditionally, his owners love winning the Ryanair. So I'm looking at Grange Clare West when he returns, and I think 20-1 could be a deep shout for the Ryanair. Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot to live up to trying to get a protectorate winner like last year for that race. But yeah, something like that. But Cheltenham Targets, hey, everyone's guess is as good as ours right now. The only other one that I've had a little sneaky peek on is for the Mayor's Novice. The name escapes me. I can't even Diva Luna. That's the only other one I've been looking at.
Falling
But
horse,
no, I've got a couple for the handicaps, which I've already earmarked, but I'm going to save that for the next show or two.
yeah. I've only actually backed two horses. You've mentioned one. I backed Romeo Cooley at 20-1 to win the Supreme. And the only other horse I've backed, I've been looking to try to get another protector at. I would advise, I still can't find it. I actually haven't gone looking. But when Matt Chapman brought Charlie Deutsch back in after the Gold Cup and he interviews the jockeys, and Charlie Deutsch said, "Oh my God, he has pace." So that means I like Gold Cup horses going back to the Ryanair. That's how I pick Protectorate. Maybe Lightning strikes twice. They might actually run in. Was that the Fleur de Lis last year at Lingfield? I think it was.
Yeah, where
Yeah,
he
it
beat
was. Yeah,
Protector out. Yeah.
yeah. The Protectorate give it £4. So they're still two horses. Obviously, Protectorate I picked last year for the Ryanair anti-post a long way out. Non-press I backed at 20-1. I suppose we move on. I suppose I'll give a quick spanner in the works. Rumor has it the Gaelic Warrior might be going to the King George. What do you think of that?
I think he's been
And would you
cut in.
fancy him to beat LA Francais and Faster Slow?
I think he's got to have a right chance, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Going right-handed is definitely, I think, he won the Arkle in great style going left, but I still think he's better right-handed. He's run at Limerick last year. Ile Francais for me is very interesting, but I think if I had to back the two right now, I'd probably go Ile Francais, just because I think Gaelic Warrior either turns up and he fancies it or he just cannot be asked.
Yeah.
It depends on the day with him. If you look at him in the prelims and he's nice and settled and he's quite cool, then I'd back him. But anti-post right now, he's not guaranteed to turn up. I'll probably keep my money in my pocket at the moment.
Now, I will say that I've had a bet in the King George already, and I've got 8-1 on Mr. Martin Brazel's horse because he's after saying that he's going to the John Durkan. I would be very disappointed if he doesn't go for the King George. I think he's better right-handed as well. He going right-handed to Kent will suit him like Punchestown, two speed tracks, and I wouldn't put anyone off. I think now he's only 4-1, second favourite, 72. Ile France 4-1 fastest slow, and I suppose Gaelic Warrior with the announcements probably. I'm not looking at it here now. It's probably a lot shorter than that, but look, will it be a great race if the three of them turned up?
I think
I suppose the
quickly,
next thing.
quickly, one
Go
more
ahead,
thing on
Scotty.
King George. I wouldn't write off Brave Man's game. I know he wasn't quite as good as he was last year. He's 14s. He came second and he fast and slow
Twice.
the form for
I
him at
won it. I beat
Punchestown.
him twice. Yeah, even twice. Yeah.
I still wouldn't write Brave Man's game off. A 14 to 1 is a good each way bet. He's definitely going to run in the race. He'll go off at a single figure price. Just from what's going to turn up. If Gaelic Warrior doesn't turn up, he will be there in the frame again.
Yeah. Now, to end the show, really, we'll do every week. If you can comment here on YouTube down the end of the screen, or you can come back on Twitter to us when we announce episode 2 next week for the showcase meeting, is a question and answers, bit of a 5-10 minute session of it because we like to interact with the fans. I suppose people who watch the show, and I think it's typically very important to do that. So we have a few from a bit from Twitter. We have a few privately from Joe's Discord. So we'll get straight into that. The first one is from a Matty. I think it's Matty anyway. This is what Joe says. What on the Discord? What changes would you make to Cheltenham and why? What it says here. I think
Um,
we kind of tipped on that at the start, really, didn't we?
I wouldn't add any more races. If anything, I'd probably take away maybe one race. I'd probably get rid of the Kim Mule and I'd make it a 3-day festival and have 9 races on the 3 days, get it compact in there, shorter spaces between races or start earlier and bring it back to 3 days. I just think the cost of Cheltenham as well are getting absolutely ridiculous. But from a turnover point of view, you can understand why it's 4 days. But if I was being honest, that's what I do.
Um, I'd leave it at the 4. I like the 4. I think 3 days is too short. Personally, I like going up for the 4 days. The 5, I kind of tied with, but 6, I know Royal Ascot does it, but it's just different. I don't know what it is. They just get it right for some reason. But there'll be a lot of low, low number races. We went for 5 days with 6 races a piece. And changes, but I suppose number one is the price thing is correct, Scotty. It's kind of ridiculous. I think, and they're actually robbing the ordinary Joe so who actually save up every year and go every year, and that's just me. But look, we'll move on. The next question is from Dant, and he says, one anti-post favourite that you think gets beat currently at the Cheltenham Festival.
Galloping Deschamps in the Gold Cup.
Oh my God, he's after
Fact, Factophile wins the Gold Cup this year.
I actually agree with Scotty on this. I'm taking on Gallopin Deschamps, even though I backed him the last 2 years to win the goal. I think it's very hard to come back from 3 Gold Cups. Though he might not do nothing all year. He'll probably win at the Dublin Racing Festival and then onto the Gold Cup. Personally, myself, I don't fancy Factophile at the moment, but I really fancy Faster. So you didn't see his shoe running, obviously unseated last year, and I still fancy him to win the Gold Cup. I just think Martin Brezin is just a great trainer. Jamie Dawson, aka the Sauce, as we've been told. He wanted a novice, a handicap hurler and a handicap chaser from a stable outside the big stable. That's to me, I didn't have a chance, Jamie, but I will go first because I've only one, and it's not really. I think it's Gavin Cromwell horse I'm putting up. Scotty has three there, and he'll go through 'em. The one horse that I fancy with the new race of the Turners of the novice handicap when coming in of the 0 to 145 is a horse that was second in the Martin Pipe last year. I don't think he's a grade one horse. I think he's absolutely tailor made for the new novice handicap. Second in the Martin Pipe. He's rating over hurdles here. I haven't the rating posted 135. So surely he'll be under 145 going into the novice handicap chase, and his long term target is Waterford Whispers. What a plot job it was. Nearly came off. He was only outstayed up the hill. I thought a bit of better ground. He probably would have won. He obviously bombed out then at the Punchestown Festival. Wouldn't take any notice to that because he was targeted for Cheltenham. So that's definitely a horse for me for the whole year to follow. And it's Waterford Whispers with a view to the novice handicap.
Yeah,
Ah, ah,
I'll give you a handicap chase with the fuller because I think he will end up in a handicap. I don't think he's quite a grade one horse over. He might be a grade one horse over fences, but I'm going to chuck him Buddy one for PJ Gilligan. He ran at Galway the other day, and he was pretty impressive there, making his chase debut. He was placing a couple of big grade ones last year behind Tierpoo at Cheltenham and Punchestown, second at Aintree behind Strong Leader. I think he's one to keep an eye on this year. Whether he goes into like the National Hunt Chase, obviously they've got to get runs into him, keep his mark below 145. So he's one that I'd be looking at. Buddy one. So Butch is the other one for Ollie Murphy. He's been quite quietly campaigned last season. He ran a couple of races at novice hurdles at Cheltenham, winning them. And he was last seen in the Grade 2, the Rendlesham up at Haydock, and he finished second the Botox Hash. So that was open company. I think Ollie Murphy is due a festival winner, and I think Butch could make a lovely chaser. So he'd be one that I'd be looking at. But one of my bigger fancies for the anti-post is my handicap hurdler to follow, and I think he's got a big task because he might end up bumping into Dysart Enos in the Great Wood Hurdle. But he won the Scottish Champion Hurdle, and that's a favour and fortune for Alan King. I think he was about mid order in the Supreme. Okay, the Supreme was pretty strong, I think, last year. Um, he was, I think, second behind, is it Django Bay of Nicky Henderson's up at Aintree in the Grade 1. He just screams like a Great Wood Hurdle type of horse, and I think he's off a mark still. I think he's 141, so I think there's still juice left in that mark just about. And I think he could be one that could fight out Grade 2, something like the Elite Hurdle, Win Canton. He could be looking at other races like that, but I definitely think down the line, looking at Betfair hurdles, county hurdles, he could end up in a champion hurdle. But I just keep him on side and back him because he will win a big race this year.
if he wins giving £10 to Dice Sardinas, I will get the boat off their jersey and kiss your arse yourself. That's not going to
And
happen.
there you go.
Dice Sardinas is going to win. Anyway, moving on. The next question is from an Andy Woolridge, and this is a very, very good question, I think. Scotty, your favorite ever Cheltenham Festival memory?
Okay. So being there for six festivals, best one I ever had, which I still think about, was the 2011 Gold Cup when Corto Star, Denman, and Long Run jumped the last together, and Long Run went up, and it was kind of like the changing of the guard, so to speak. That was a brilliant moment. I didn't have a bet on any of the three. I backed Imperial Commander and Midnight Chase, I think, in the race each way. But yeah, just memory wise, that was fantastic. From a betting perspective, my biggest ever win was in Carlito Briganti in the Coral Cup the same year. Backed him at 16, so I had a lovely bet on him. But every single moment, I keep thinking about the greatest moment ever was the race I look forward to the most for the whole year. The most was when Big Bucks and Grand Cru, again in 2011, went head to head in the Stayers Hurdle, well, the World Hurdle as it was back then. It was just fantastic. I was a Big Bucks fan. I was a Grand Cru fan. For me, that stands out. And I'll also mention the Hurricane Fly Peddlers Cross Champion Hurdle again, 2011. I'm going back to that year for some reason. That was a brilliant race as well. Probably all of them. But if I had to pick one, I'd say Big Bucks and Grand Cru. That's that World Hurdle.
Yeah, for me, I suppose it was the first time going to Cheltenham with my dad. It was 2003, and I suppose with his brother passing 2 years previous, he was a Liverpool fan, and the two of us obviously being a Man United fan and an Everton fan, we looking at each other and said, "We can't back that, can we?" And it was a horse called for Christy Roach and Barry Garrett. He rode it, and he beat Henry Daly horse. I can't remember the name. Richard Thompson was on the other one. And we backed You Never Walk Alone, and the whole of the Cheltenham stand, Pastoral stand, started singing it, and I thought it was a great. moment is, I suppose, to cherish my dad and memories of my uncle, and that was very nice, and I thought it was a great moment. I suppose betting wise, obviously Protectorate last year was huge for me, but before that, I'll tell you a story that I was working in home base, and my manager used to drive me home, and he used to say to me, "Jenny, I have absolutely no interest in horses, but I'd give you one." And there was a BMW owner or trader up here. He was called Dermot Hennepin, and he owned a horse. And obviously, my manager knew him. And I backed this horse anti-post at 33s on the back of him all year. And he won it 10 to 1. He won the Supreme. And it was a horse called Cinders and Ashes. And I thought it was a very great moment, I suppose. And it was a long-standing job that eventually paid off, which is great. And nearly had a heart attack and he took the last hurdle out of
Just
the
about to
floor.
say, I was there and I backed him as well. When he went through the last, I thought, "Oh shit, here we go." But no,
That was a great
that was a good win.
betting wise, but obviously last year with Protectorate as well was nice. And there's been a few. I suppose the locally trained horse was a great memory here. Total Enjoyment who won the 2004 Cheltenham Bumper, and Jim Cullity was on it. So that's another local memory here that was very good. But sure, there's loads of them. We could be here all day. On to the next question here is from a Darren, and his Twitter handle is at DFL Shooter, Shouter. And Darren asks, what race is missing from the Cheltenham Festival, and what race would you replace it with?
Well, I don't think there's anything
Either race
missing, but
you
I'd
replace
get
it.
rid of the Kimura, like I said already.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put anything new in there, but if I was someone put a gun to my head, I'd probably have the Veterans Final. They have at Sandown,
Mm.
maybe something like that for the really older horses. I know they will go in the cross country. I know that's changed to a handicap now, but if I had to put one in, I'd put a Veterans Chasing. But it's not something I'd really pursue.
I suppose for me, exactly, you've actually tipped on Sandown, really, Scotty. To be honest with me, I know it's a very good Imperial Cup day, and there's the final day at Sandown. There's two races, I suppose. I think isn't the EBF final the handicap is on Imperial Cup Day, and that's a grade three handicap hurdle, novice handicap hurdle. And there's a novice handicap championship final over 2 miles on the last day of the season at Sandown, Whitbread Day. I'll always call it the Whitbread. And to me, I think one of those races should be at Cheltenham. Maybe not the 2 mile because the county has more tradition and I take that would take away from the county hurdle. The problem is these horses are not getting into counties anymore or Carl Cups. I think there's room for maybe one of them. And I think the EBF final or a novice handicap championship final, hurdle wise, is crying out for the Cheltenham Festival because we have it all in the chases, but we don't have it in hurdles. There is room for, they say, the 120 to 140, say, in between horse, to have their own day in the sun at Cheltenham. And I think, look, sorry for Sandown, and look, they have their schedule for a reason. But I think that should come in, and I would definitely get rid of the Mayor's Novice. It takes away from the Ballymore, now the Bartlett always has a full field, but the Supreme and the Ballymore has been suffering for the last couple of years with the Mayor's Novice. Give them the £7 claim as a mayor and run them in the Supreme and the Ballymore and then make them way more competitive. No, I'm going to stop them. uh, the final question, I suppose, Cathy, that you just got was from a Sam Tolkill, and he has asked a very hard question, which I wouldn't have an absolute clue about, but you would, compared to me, and it's who wins the Halting Gold Cup next month at Exeter?
I fancy JPR1. I
You
just
can't
think
go.
it's his kind of race. I kind of think that novices coming into this open kind of race the following year, he'd definitely be one that's on the radar. Um, he's the only one that's on my mind at the moment. You'll get horses that come back and use this as a prep run for something like the Tingle Creek or the Slower Chase, depending on whenever it falls in, they all go for targets down the line. But yeah, I think JPR1's made for that kind of race. That's probably one I'll be looking at.
Perfect. No, that is the first episode of the new season of the Ginger Show Racing Show wrapped up. Please go down, like, and subscribe. Comment down below to see if we're any good. Will you give us questions down below? Obviously, we'll put it up on Twitter for next week. We will be back next Wednesday or Thursday. Recording will be Wednesday, probably, and be out Thursday for the first preview of the season of the Cheltenham Festival Showcase. And our new boss man, Mr. Ginger Joe, will be back with us. And again, thanks to everyone, and thanks to my new wingman for the season, Mr. Scotty Rudz. And we shall chat to you later.